Should you paywall your story on Medium? That's the question that this video is going to answer. My name is Julie Rain. I'm a product marketer here at Medium, and this is one of the questions that we get pretty frequently from writers who are new to Medium. When does it make sense to add a paywall to your story? So when you publish a story on Medium, you have the option to add a paywall to it. What this does is two things. First of all, it locks it so that only Medium members, that is people who pay a subscription fee to Medium to be able to read paywalled stories, only those members can read it. And when they do, and when they signal to Medium that they find it valuable in some way, they spend a long time reading it, they clap for it, they highlight it, they leave a reply, then you earn money from their subscription fee and their engagement on your paywalled story. So that's what paywalling the story does. It locks it, and it means you earn money through the Medium Partner Program. When does it make sense to add this paywall? The short answer is that it depends. It's up to you. And if you want a rule of thumb, the best way to think of it is to think about whether this story, whether a reader would be proud to pay for having read that story. So here are just a few different examples. For example, Dr. Jess Steyer doesn't paywall any of her stories. Writers do this if they want to really make sure that anybody can read their story. Medium gets about 100 million visitors every single month. We do not yet have that many members. And so a lot of writers use Medium as a sort of portfolio, a free blog, a place to just post their writing, access readers without having to think too much about building a mailing list or building their own website. So Dr. Jess Steyer is a great example of this. She wants to make sure that every single person in the world, if they wanted to, could come and read her story. You can see that she doesn't have any paywalls on her stories. Here's another example of a writer who has taken the opposite approach. Joan Westenberg paywalls all of her stories. You can see with the little gold icon here that these stories are locked for Medium members only. So this means that only Medium members can read the story, and it means that when they do, she's earning money through their engagement on their story when they indicate that it's valuable or meaningful to them in some way through those factors I mentioned earlier. Spending time reading it, clapping for it, leaving a reply, highlighting some other kind of value factor there to tell Medium, I was glad to have read this story. In between, we see all kinds of other strategies. We see folks paywall some, only the very best of their stories. Again, the stories that they think readers would be proud to pay money to read. We see writers paywall all of their stories at the start and then remove the paywall later, or vice versa. We see writers do a mix of all different kinds of strategies. So at the end of the day, there's no right answer. It's only what's right for you. The thing to keep in mind, again, is whether you think that readers would want to pay to read that story. If that's the case, then you can feel really good about putting a paywall on your story. And in case you're wondering why I have this paywall model at all, that's Medium's business model. We want to incentivize writers to paywall their best stories because that's how we incentivize readers to become Medium members. They come to a story that's paywalled and they think, this is great, I really want to be able to read this, I'm going to become a Medium member to access it. And by continuing to see paywalled stories, they're continually reminded of the great stories that they can find and that they get to pay for on Medium. I also wanted to cover some frequently asked questions that we get about paywall strategy on Medium. So one of the ones I see most often is whether it's okay to add a friend link to the top of your paywalled story on Medium. For example, here's a story I've written, it's behind the paywall, I can press this share button and click copy friend link. Now, when I share this with readers, even if they're not Medium members, they're still going to be able to read this story from behind the paywall without needing to get membership. What we see some writers do is add this link to the top of their stories so that anybody who crosses their story can read it, whether or not they're a member. And this means that it's open to everybody and they'll still earn some money if a member happens to read it. There's no rule against this right now, but we do find it to be a little short-sighted. It benefits that individual writer, they get a few more views, but it hurts all writers across Medium. Imagine if every single writer did this. There would be no members on Medium. There would be no need to have any membership on Medium. So it's not technically against the rules, but it is a little short-sighted. We also frequently get asked about our business model. Why does Medium have a paywall at all? Why not make all stories available for everyone and still pay writers? Medium membership from readers is how we pay writers. We believe that there should be a place to write on the internet where there aren't ads. Ultimately, our business model relies on readers becoming members because that's how we pay our writers. Finally, we also get asked if there's any kind of content that is completely ineligible for the paywall. And the answer is yes, of course, but if you're watching this video, it probably doesn't apply to you. Things that break the rules and aren't allowed on the platform at all are obviously also not allowed behind the paywall. So we've heard over and over from our members that they don't want to pay to read this kind of really garbage content. But again, if you're watching this video, that probably doesn't apply to you. So just make sure that you keep that rule in mind. Would a reader be proud to pay to read this? That's what you're asking readers to do when you put a paywall on your story. So keep that in mind and you can't go wrong. Thank you so much for watching this video. That brings us to the end of our frequently asked questions. If you have any other questions that I didn't address in this video, please feel free to post them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much again for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.